Andre Cacciatore in the Nesson Studios, along with UFC.com's Matt Perino for another edition of the UFC Nesson podcast. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. We had interesting things happen in the UFC world this week with Germaine de Randamie being stripped of her UFC Women's Featherweight title belt. And, she made a big deal about not wanting to fight Cyborg because she had her reasons, quote-unquote reasons. She said that she didn't like that she was a cheater, etc. Those are her words. And now she's stripped of her title. And all of a sudden, we have an UFC 214 championship bout between Cyborg and Megan Anderson for that belt. First of all, what was your reaction to de Randamie being stripped of her belt?
It seemed like the next step. I mean, she came out and said that she wasn't interested in fighting Cyborg, who was the number one contender for the title. Not to mention the fact that the division itself was created in the UFC for Cyborg. There was a little bit of a hiccup. She had tested positive with USADA, but that all got cleared up. She got issued, clearance on that. She was able to come back, but it was too late for her to participate in that inaugural title fight. So the winner of that fight, Germaine de Randamie, was expected to fight Cyborg. I mean, they did a stare down after that fight, after she beat Holly out in the parking lot, it looked like. So that was the anticipated next fight, and when Germaine took her time and eventually said that she wouldn't fight her, the only next step was to strip her. I mean, she's already said that she's planning to go back down to 135 pounds. I don't think it's that controversial. I think it just was the next step. I mean, Cyborg is going to fight Megan Anderson, the Invicta FC 145-pound champion, and by most accounts, the second best 145er in the world.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Matt, because I do agree with you, but I want to play devil's advocate. Now, de Randamie says she has a hand injury right now, and that's why she can't defend her belt. She's mentioned that on numerous occasions. Now, in the men's middleweight class, we have Michael Bisping, who also has an injury, and because of that, there's an interim title fight in that division. Why didn't the UFC do an interim fight for this featherweight belt rather than strip de Randamie, wait for her hand injury to heal, and then see what happens going forward? Why did they immediately strip her? Why do you think?
Did Michael Bisping come out and say that he wouldn't fight anybody in particular? There's a lot of people asserting that he won't fight certain people, but he has not declined a fight with anybody. Once you decline a fight that is offered to you as champion, that changes the situation. Let's not joke around here. Cyborg is the featherweight division. She's one of the most dominant fighters in mixed martial arts today. That division was created for her. She was coming back to fight for the title. Germaine didn't want to fight her. Next in line, Megan Anderson has been dying to fight Cyborg. Eventually, who knows? Holm could be back. We'll talk about her in a little while. She could be back in the mix. But Cyborg was the fight. Germaine knew that was going to be the fight after Holly, and she doesn't want it. Next up.
I just want to say I do agree with you. Just playing devil's advocate, someone who might not agree with that stance. But, yeah, I completely agree with that. I think, like right after that fight ended, she said she had a hand injury, and then she kind of wanted to push away Cyborg the whole time. I'm like, oh, come on, just get out there, try to defend your belt against one of the best. That's the way you build legacies. Kind of think she might have been scared in this situation. What do you think about that notion?
I mean, these fighters are. Fear does not seem to be something I would describe any of these men or women. But
so why was she backing away? Why do you think?
I mean, that is an interesting point. I mean, to have someone like, that has had, a violation, not only this last one, but there was one a few years ago with Chris that Germaine's in her right to say that she doesn't want to fight her, just as, the UFC's in its right to strip her of the title and move on if she doesn't want to defend her title. So, no, I think we're moving on to. Unfortunately for Germaine, I think maybe it'll work out in the end. She'll go back down to 135 pounds, which was her division to begin with. And we get a fight in Cyborg versus Anderson, and I think a lot of people have been waiting for.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that now. UFC 214 in Anaheim. I'll be there. You going to be there as well? Or
I will be there. I will be there.
Oh.
We'll go visit a couple barbers. You can show me how to grow that that beard you got going on there.
No, look, you got a great beard as well. I mean, listen, we both have great beards. In fact, we're still trying to name this UFC podcast. Anybody has a suggestion in the comments section? It could be a beard-centric name. I don't know. We're still thinking of a name. But anyway, let's get back to UFC 214, Cyborg and Megan Anderson. Seems like a violent fighter. Look, 4 straight knockouts, Megan Anderson in Invicta. 2 of them in the first round. I think this is going to be a good fight, Anderson and Cyborg. I'm excited to see it. What are your thoughts?
I'm excited too. I actually like Megan Anderson a lot. I think that she has a lot of, you talk about that star quality, that that it factor. I think that she has it. She has a unique look. She got on the mic after her last Invicta title, after she won the interim title, got on the mic and said to Holly and Jermaine, who were fighting, later that year, "Hey, Dana, whoever wins this fight, tell them I'm coming for that belt." I mean, she's confident, she's brash, she's a good fighter. She's very raw still though, and that's where I think that my excitement level is tempered a little bit, because she's going in against, it's fitting that Cyborg is fighting as the co-main event on the main event, John Jones returning, because John Jones has been the most dominant men's fighter in the history of the game. I mean, you just go at his record, the people that he's beat. Cyborg's the same way. She's been untouchable. Ronda had her run. There's an argument to be made there, but Cyborg has been just decapitating people. And Megan Anderson, you go back and look at her fight she took on Charmaine Tweet in Invicta. She got hit a lot. If you take the kind of punches that she took against Charmaine, against Cyborg, you were going to sleep. So I'm interested to see the evolution of Megan Anderson's game, but I do think that she has a very, very serious test, very serious challenge ahead of her in Cyborg.
I have to agree with you there as well. I mean, I think you got to consider Cyborg as one of the best, if not the best, in the women's entire sport. So you look at her, especially, she's been waiting for this moment for a long time. A shot at a UFC title belt. She's going to be hungry. That said, I do think Megan Anderson's a good challenger for Cyborg. It'll be interesting to see her develop down the years now that she's in the UFC as well. So you look at the UFC 214 card in general, all of a sudden it's stacked. You got so many good fights. I can't wait for that. I'm looking more forward for that card much more than I am for the UFC 213 card. And that's saying something, because UFC 213 is also going to be really good as well. So it's gonna be a fun July, Matt. Very fun July. And now let's talk about, you mentioned Holly Holm earlier. I want to talk to you about her for a little bit. She had a dominant performance against Betch Correia last weekend, and that devastating leg kick was back. It was awesome to see her come back from that 3-fight losing skid. And I talked to you about this last week, Matt. I love fighters who, after a loss, they come out there and they put it behind them, put it in the rearview mirror, and they go out and put a dominating performance the same way Holly Holm did this past weekend. I loved seeing that. I wish more fighters would do that instead of coming out on the octagon and telling Joe Rogan that they're done. I'm retiring. I loved it. What were your thoughts on seeing Holm's performance?
It gets her right back in the mix. She moves up to number 2 in the rankings, the official UFC rankings, right behind challenger for the title at UFC 213, Valentina Shevchenko, and champion Amanda Nunes. So, dominating performance, I'm not so sure about that. The first 2 rounds arguably could have been scored for Betch Correia. It was a typical Holly fight. She was kind of looking to kind of stay on the outside, make Betch come to her. And we talked about it last week. Going into this fight, that's where Betch had to be careful, because when you charge and get aggressive at a fighter like Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey really proved it. Holly's last win, you're going to pay for it, because she hits, and she hits hard. Her leg kicks. She was a professional boxer, Holly Holm, but it's been her leg kicks in MMA that have really made her stand out. Her big highlight reel moments have been with her head kick. So she landed one right on the money. It was fitting, just as Betch Correia started to try to taunt her a little bit. She ate that one that pretty much ended the fight right there, and then Holly landed one more for a good measure. But Holly Holm is back. I didn't feel like she ever left. When you have a fighting style like that she does, you're prone to slower fights, like some fans will say, boring fights. But she was winning that fight against Miesha Tate in her first title defense. She had her moments against Valentina Shevchenko, who, Forrest Griffin, I do a show with him. He told me yesterday that Valentina Shevchenko actually just out Holly Holm in that fight. She was quicker. She stayed on the outside, did her thing, and you could make an argument that she beat Germaine de Randamie if points would have been deducted for the hits after the bell. So big weekend for Holly Holm in Singapore. She's back right where she belongs. I mean, she gained a lot of star power off that win against Ronda, and having her back in the mix, potentially against Amanda Nunes, who she's still never faced. That's a hell of a matchup, and stylistically one that looks good for Holly.
Yeah, interesting you bring that up. So you foresee her fighting winner of Nunes and Shevchenko. Do you think she might be thinking about maybe going into featherweight, or she has options? You can't say she doesn't. She has options. What do you think she's going to do?
She definitely has options, and I saw a story that Cyborg was suggesting that the winner they should put a fight together of Holly Holm versus Kat Zingano. Kat Zingano is somebody that was long rumored to be an opponent for Cyborg in the featherweight title fight if Germaine de Randamie didn't want to fight her. Kat's got some stuff going on. She's not medically cleared or something like that. I'm not sure, so I don't want to speak on it. But that would be a great fight. Kat Zingano versus Holly Holm. Two stars. Kat Zingano, who had that devastating 14-second loss or 16-second loss. I can't keep them all together now. Against Ronda Rousey, got armbarred. She's looking to get back in the mix, and maybe at 145 pounds, she's an interesting matchup. But I think I like Holly to stay at 135 pounds. She makes the weight cut fine. I think that Amanda Nunes fight is very interesting, and if she's somehow able to get that title, I think that potentially makes a Cyborg super fight with Holly and Cyborg down the line even bigger. So I'd like to see her stay at 135. Come back down and do some work there before potentially fighting her down the road.
Who knows? Maybe down the road we'll see Holly Holm, 2-division champion. Who knows? Yeah, let's move on to this weekend now. Oklahoma City, UFC heading to OKC, the Chesapeake Energy Arena, where Russell Westbrook usually does business. But this week we got tons of fights. Which one are you really looking at this week?
I mean, really, I'm excited for this card. There's a couple big fights. BJ Penn is opening up the main card. Whenever the Prodigy is in action, sign me up. I think he had a really tough test in front of him last time out when he had to take on surging contender Yair Rodriguez, who ran into his own bit of trouble, and Frankie Edgar. But I think that was a little bit too much for BJ coming back off of retirement, hadn't competed in a long time. Dennis Seaver, a little bit more his speed at this point. I think I'd like to see how BJ comes out. He worked for a while in Albuquerque at Jackson Winklejohn. Let's see if what he looks like at 145 pounds in a matchup more fitting. And of course, this main event. I think it's the perfect fight at the perfect time. I mean, a lot of fights this summer feel like that. Kevin Lee, brash, young, rising star. Bit of the gift of gab. I mean, he really does a good job on the microphone. He's confident. And I think he has a lot of star potential. He comes in ranked number 11, I believe, taking on number 6, Michael Chiesa, former Ultimate Fighter champion. And I think that this is a fight that pits two grapplers together, two guys that like to kind of make fights dirty, but who are also not afraid to stand and trade, which I think that because of their skills in the grappling department, we could see, two guys really slug it out to see who can last longer. It's an important fight. These guys are on the cusp of that top 5. Chiesa at number 6 with a win, maybe solidifies a number 5 spot. And if Lee is able to take him out after a very impressive win over Francisco Trinaldo last time out, he surges right into contention. And with Conor McGregor out of the fold, a lot of options for guys that are putting these wins together at the top of this division. Yeah,
you look at that lightweight division. It's, as you mentioned, big fight for these two guys to try to get into that top 5. I'm going to admit something to you, Matt. When we were talking about this show and topics and whatnot, I was looking at this card, and I just it just doesn't do it for me. But the more I look at it, you got a lot of big names in there that, they might be struggling, and they're trying to kind of bounce back. Like Tim Boetsch, he's a guy who's lost 4 of his last 6. He's trying to, get back on the winning track. He'll be fighting Johnny Hendricks. And Tim Means, who had a tough go-around against Alex Oliveira in their first fight. with those illegal knees, and there was like a no contest, and then next time he fought him, he lost. So he's trying to bounce back against Alex Garcia. But one fight I'm really looking at is the women's strawweight bout. You know how much I love the women's strawweight division. I talk about it every week. Felice Herrig, I saw her fight live in Houston during the Super Bowl weekend, and she did pretty well there, coming out and defeating Alexa Grasso in the unanimous decision now. So she's fighting this weekend. There's also a lot of good options. And you mentioned BJ Penn leading off the main card. So, you know, I changed my mind about this card, Matt. I think I'm a big fan of it now.
Good man. I'm proud of you, Andre. So finally seeing the light. You know, sometimes it's tough for you, I know, especially with that, you know, all that hair product drizzling into your eyes. It's tough, I know, but you know what? You're fighting through it. You know, I appreciate it.
Well, yeah, you know what it is. I always keep an open mind, and I'm excited about this weekend now, and I'm more excited about UFC 213. You know, it'll be great to do a show down in Vegas together. That'll be fantastic. Take the show on the road. For sure. Well, for me on the road, for you, will be at home.
Exactly. It'll be fun. We'll get up right out in the T-Mobile Center is buzzing right now. You got the hockey team doing the expansion draft here in the next couple days, and you know, Vegas with the the Raiders coming to town. A lot of sports excitement. UFC 213 is going to be featured as right in the middle of summer, best time of year in Vegas. It's going to be fun. Yeah,
as you mentioned, the Golden Knights. They'll be opening up October 10th in T-Mobile Arena at against the Coyotes. It's gonna be a historic night. You should try to snag some tickets for that, Matt. That'll be a cool event to go to. You can tell your son that you were at the first ever Vegas Golden Knights game. That'll be a cool thing to brag about.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Matt. Now we're gonna head over to Courtney Cox, NESN.com's very own. She had a one-on-one interview with The Ring Magazine's Mike Coppinger, and they discussed the Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor bout.
Courtney Cox here in the NESN studio, joined now by senior writer for Ring Magazine, Mike Coppinger. Mike, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Thanks a lot for having me on, Courtney.
Now, no surprise here what we're talking about. August 26th, Mayweather-McGregor, the fight everyone's been talking about. In your opinion, what was your first thoughts when this thing became official?
You know, it's been in talks for over a year now, but at first it was, only thought of as a joke. And then I think basically since like May or so, it's been like, all right, this fight might actually happen. So yeah, I'm excited for the actual event. They're going to make so much money, and there's too much money for the fight to not happen. But Conor McGregor is going to take a tremendous beating for his trouble.
All right, well, you just led me into my next question. Obviously, like I said, you're the senior writer for Ring Magazine, and even before that, you were the boxing writer for USA Today, so you're definitely looking at this thing more from a Mayweather perspective. Does McGregor have any chance in this, in your opinion?
Not really. I think it would be the greatest upset in sports history. I mean, Conor McGregor is going into another sport. While he's a good stand-up fighter for MMA, his striking skills are pretty poor for a boxer. I mean, he sparred with Chris Van Heerden, who's not even a top, he's a decent welterweight, a top 15 guy maybe, and he was getting played with. Mayweather's an all-time great, and he's probably the best defensive fighter of all time. McGregor is also known for gassing out and having pretty poor conditioning for MMA, and now he's going 12 rounds. When you throw a lot of punches and you miss badly, it really tires you out. So I think he's going to get tired quickly, and Mayweather's going to stop him in the mid-rounds.
So you said if McGregor wins this thing, then it's the biggest upset of all time. Dana White said if he wins this thing, he'll be the best athlete of all time. Would you agree with that?
Well, no. I mean, that's like Michael Jordan or Wayne Gretzky for me, or Muhammad Ali. But, it would be – I can't even fathom a scenario where McGregor wins. I just can't see it. Because I've seen people that don't really watch boxing saying, oh, maybe he'll land some big punch. Like, guys that are much better boxers than Conor McGregor haven't been able to land a single punch on Mayweather. We're talking about the greatest defensive fighter, possibly of all time. So, I mean, unless Mayweather just really got old now, that he's 40, he hasn't fought in 2 years, and something crazy happens and he slips, I don't know. But for me, it's just that both guys are going to get tremendous paydays, and it's going to be a great event and a massive spectacle. But I don't actually expect a competitive fight in the ring on fight night.
Well, some people are saying having an MMA fighter ruins the credibility of boxing. Would you agree with that?
I mean, boxing's had so many circus events at this point. I'm not sure if it can get any worse. So, yeah, I don't see it as a credible fight. Oscar De La Hoya has been, been lambasting the fight over and over. I don't take it seriously as an actual sporting event. But as a, I think most of the people that are going to watch this fight and are really interested in it are people that don't watch boxing. So for that, I guess it's good. Hopefully Mayweather, tries to knock him out, which he never really does. But considering how poor McGregor should be, maybe Mayweather will take a chance for once. I don't know.
All right, let's talk about your Twitter page. You took notice to a McGregor Instagram recently. He posted an Instagram of his gym and a new mural of him knocking out Mayweather. You thought that was pretty hilarious. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, I said that. I think that's the closest he'll get to Mayweather all night. I mean, Mayweather's mastery of range and his footwork is just incredible. And Mayweather's best attribute probably is that if you leave yourself unguarded for even a split second, he takes advantage and lands a punch. I think McGregor's going to just look absolutely foolish in there. I mean, if you want to make some money, just trust me on this. It'll be a knockout.
Well, you're talking about money. The bets have been kind of going differently than expected. People are now putting more money on McGregor than they are Mayweather, making the odds kind of change. What do you think about this? I mean, it's going to help Mayweather fans because they're going to make more money if they're betting on their guy.
Well, look, McGregor is really, really popular. He's probably more popular than Floyd. He's a cult icon, with MMA and with Irish fans. And people really believe in him, and he believes in himself, it seems. But this is simply, this is not MMA. If Mayweather was fighting McGregor in the octagon, I would no doubt pick McGregor. This is a boxing match. Mayweather's 49-0. He was a great amateur before that. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. This isn't just fighting any boxer. This is fighting the best fighter in the world. So for this to happen, I don't know. It would be like Michael Jordan saying he's going to race Michael Phelps in a swimming meet. I just can't see it happening.
Good way to put it, and great stuff from you, Mike. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us. You at home want to make sure to follow along with him on Twitter at Mike Coppinger. Mike, thanks for the time.
Thanks so much for having me.
What a fascinating interview that was. Thank you, Courtney and Mike Coppinger of The Ring Magazine for coming out on here. And also thanks again, Matt Perino of UFC.com. It was an exciting show. That's all the time we have for you today. We'll see you next time.